Welcome to Modern Farm Business Podcast. This podcast is designed to help the farm leader bring their business to the next level. We'll cover everything from leadership and finance to strategy and planning. I'm your host, Dean Hefta. For many businesses and farms, a key constraint to growth isn't capital, it's having the right people. I've had the opportunity to be involved with farm leaders from across the Midwest and continually hear stories about how the area where that farm is located is one of the toughest you can imagine for finding good talent. The other side of it is I've been around business leaders from cities across the country, and their same complaint is, how do we find good talent? But rather than spending our time consoling ourselves about how hard it is to find talent, the best tackle the issue a bit differently. Today, we're going to get into some of the elements of the businesses that are able to build strong teams. There's 7 tools in our toolbox that we're going to talk about today. The first one I'm calling Know Yourself Honestly. This means understanding what makes your operation unique and desirable. It's the why someone would want to be on your team. Maybe it's good equipment, could be the responsibility you give people, maybe it's the chance to have something different every day that comes up. Maybe it's the ability to creatively solve problems. It's also being clear about what it is that's challenging about your business. It could be geography, seasonality of work, having to deal with cold weather, or whatever makes your situation unique. A big piece of this is also knowing who and how you are as a leader. While there are behaviors and practices that people expect from their leaders no matter what the situation, there is no perfect leader. The key for leaders is having a good understanding and awareness of who they are. If they're deliberate and planning type leaders, they should be able to explain their approach to others around them. If they're more of a spur of the moment and let's battle it out and have an argument and still be friends, they should also be able to be aware and explain that's their approach to leadership. That has an impact on the type of culture that the operation has and the type of personalities that are going to thrive in that environment. I had a farmer at an employee workshop say to me on a break one time, "My last 3 employees have all stuck around for about 6 months, and at the end of it, they told me to stick it. Do you think that I might be part of the problem?" I said, "Well, 3 in a row does seem like a pattern. Tell me more about what's going on." And as he explained it, he started out the relationship from recruiting to the first few weeks of the relationship, very amiable, very accommodating, very nice, hoping that the employee was going to be high performing. And then over time, he wouldn't necessarily communicate his expectations, but he would become frustrated and become more and more direct and short with the employees until finally they got tired of it. And so the issue was less about how direct he was being with employees and more about the fact that he changed as that relationship continued. So for him, it's being clear about who he is as a leader, how he's being in the relationship, and being able to lay out a consistent approach to how he's communicating. And that self-awareness of the leader really sets the stage for an authentic culture. The second tool in the toolbox I call Understand Needs Clearly. This is about understanding what the farm needs and what the team needs. Now, don't think so narrowly as we need someone who has run this mapping software before. When you think about needs, you really need to know not only the type of work that you need help with, but also the type of person that would succeed on your team. Too often, we can find ourselves falling in love with the experience a candidate has and then completely missing the impact that their style will have on the team. Bradford Smart, who created top grading, claims that for him, the uber competency that he looks for when he's hiring somebody is resourcefulness. Looking for those people that can solve problems and figure things out on their own. For your operation, you might have a couple of other key competencies that you really need to have in that candidate. And those things probably have nothing to do with their direct work experience. It might be attitude or punctuality. Each business is a little different, and they have the responsibility to know what their needs are as they're going through the hiring process. The third one I call think creatively. It's easy to get locked into doing things the way we've always done them and think narrowly about solutions. For example, one of your key employees leaves because his wife's job relocated their family. This employee was raised on a farm and worked at a fertilizer company before coming to work for you. He was a great employee, and in your mind, the next employee needs to have a lot of farm and equipment experience, be just like this employee. But if we're going to have a chance in getting to the right solution, we need to take the time to think creatively about the role. Are there things this employee did that we would be now better off hiring a contractor to do, or maybe a neighbor? Are there things that he was doing that other people on our team can take over so we don't have to find that same experience? Do we need someone with a farm background, which is getting harder to find all the time, or should we look first for someone with the right qualities that we can teach farming to? The benefit of bringing in somebody without farm experience is they don't have bad habits. The trade-off is we need to be committed to teaching and training. So when you think about hiring, don't start by thinking about the person. Focus on what the business needs. That might mean you have to hire someone, and it might mean you don't. Here's another tool. Grow your pool prolifically. This is a tough one. It's a lot easier to select the best 2 candidates from a pool of 20 than when you only have one person the whole time even raise their hand. Too often, we don't start recruiting until we have an open position. And then we don't know where to start to get people to throw their hat in the ring. If you have a staff, you should always be on the lookout for the kind of people you'd like to have on your team. As a leader, you're the cheerleader and you're the head recruiter. So when someone leaves or you need to add a new position, you already then have 3 names off the top of your head that you can reach out to. The other approach, if you aren't in that position, is using the who do you know tactic. It's getting out into the networks of people who might know where somebody is at that has the experience and the talent and the abilities that you're looking for. So when you reach out to the network and you share what you're looking for, it's comments like, I'm looking for a solid employee that's responsible and likes working as a team. They need some basic mechanical skills, but more than anything, they need a good attitude and an interest in learning. We'll train them and we'll pay well. Who do you know that might fit that description? See that key phrase there, who do you know that might fit that description? People might then respond saying, they don't know anybody that's looking for a job. And for you, the response really is, that's good. I'm not looking for the best of the unemployed. I'm curious if you know somebody that fits those characteristics. That gives me a chance to present the opportunity, and they might even have a friend or somebody that they know that would be a better fit. This is proactive recruiting, getting the message out there, looking under stones for new opportunities. Now, there's also the passive approach that can complement the recruiting process. And there's lots of ways to get the word out. Getting it in the local paper, putting it on Indeed.com or Facebook, or maybe a poster at the cafe. There's a dozen ways to do it. Get the word out. Try different approaches so that you can increase the pool that you have to select from. Another one, select your team judiciously. The interview part can be a bit nerve-wracking for a lot of people, hiring managers and candidates alike. First off, remember the goal is for the employer and the candidate to get an understanding of each other so that they can each see how might we fit when it comes to the role. A part of that is the interview, but sitting down with somebody for 30 minutes probably isn't going to cut it. The determining factor is the role itself. Hiring a well-paid farm foreman should take more diligence than maybe a truck driver that you're looking to fill a gap for 4 weeks. Dial in that evaluation process for the position and lay it out ahead of even recruiting. Here's the process I'm going to take the person through. It might include skills tests. Are you hiring administrative help that needs to have good computer skills? Maybe a truck driver that you want proof. Can they back the truck up? Why not assess them before you hire them? Maybe it's a full-time employee. Have them line up phone calls with previous managers that you can talk with about their performance. It's really fascinating the number of candidates that miraculously, when you start asking them about talking to previous managers, they're either dead or they've all moved away and they can't figure out where they're at. A players are excited to have people that they've worked for tell you how good they are. Now, one caveat in that is, if you're talking to a previous manager, you don't want to jeopardize their current employment of the candidate, or maybe in some cases tipping off a previous employer that this candidate might be open to making a change. Now, at the in-person interview, when you're sitting down and having a conversation with the candidate, do your best to look for specific examples. Phrases like, tell me about a time, when you want to understand how they're going to respond in a situation. That's much more powerful than, what would you do if? In one, you're asking for actual things that have happened. On the other one, it allows them to give you the answer that you're probably looking for because it's more hypothetical. What you're trying to do is understand their thinking, and you're looking for patterns of past behavior that will be predictive of future performance. At Water Street Solutions, we use a behavioral assessment that helps us and the candidate to see if their natural tendencies for how they approach the work is going to align with what the demands of the job are going to be. Here's another tool: onboard intentionally. When you hire someone and they start in 3 weeks, what are you going to do to get ready for their first week? Is it, I forgot you were starting today. I'm glad you're here. Or is their first day on the job a big deal and you're making it that? We should be treating it such because for them it is a big deal. Be thinking about what they need to know about the farm, about safety, about equipment, about the team, about those key things that should be covered that first week. This is your chance to set expectations for them and to help them to get a feel for the culture and how things work. Their first couple of days, you should be very specific on the things you want them to accomplish and do and focus on. And then as time goes on, they should become more and more independent. Just don't have them show up their first day and then scratch your head and say, well, I guess you could change oil on a couple of trucks. Go figure it out. Remember, you only get one chance to make a first impression. Final tool in the toolbox, I call engage diligently. This is the ongoing retention piece. In his research on employee engagement, author Daniel Pink found that at a fundamental level, employees were looking for 3 things in their work world: autonomy, mastery, and meaning. Autonomy is the ability and the opportunity to have some say in the how and the when my work gets done. It doesn't mean that they get to just do whatever they want to do, but the environment that they worked in lends them some level of control and independence. And what we see over and over is people will spend much more time and energy working on goals that they've chosen for themselves compared to goals that have been put on them by somebody else. The second was mastery. Simply the opportunity to learn and grow and get better at something. For many, work is a means to an end, but the reality is we spend most of our waking hours at work. Why not spend it in ways that improve us as people and grow our abilities? Third was meaning. Does the work I do have some level of meaning? This doesn't mean that we have to spend our lives drilling water wells in Africa or running an animal rescue shelter in order to do meaningful work. Even the most mundane of roles can have meaning applied. It could be about improving the quality of the land for future generations or making sure that we're providing healthy beef for customers. As leaders, we have the opportunity to provide meaning. It could be as simple as, we have to clean out this pit and it's not going to be fun, but we're doing it because it's going to help us to make sure we deliver the highest quality seed beans possible, and the higher the quality we bring, the happier the company is, and the happier that company is, the better our premium gets, and the better our premium gets, the more the team gets paid. It's connecting them to the why of the task. And engagement is about how we are being in real time with our teams. Do we respect them as people and value their perspective? When people feel valued, understood, and needed, they're more likely to be engaged, and engaged employees work harder, do better quality work, and stay longer. I hope this has been a helpful topic as we think about the role people have in our businesses. If you have successes or challenges that you've experienced in your operation, be sure to shoot me an email at dean@modernfarmbusiness.com. Thanks for joining me, and I look forward to being with you again next week.